Good morning, good evening, and welcome to World of Warships. My name is Robin, and today we will be sailing in the Tier 7 German destroyer Maass. But first of all, thank you very much for tuning in the video. I really appreciate it, and I hope you will enjoy your time here. We are back for a commented episode, and oh boy, do I have some spicy ranked games to show you this time around. Out of all options at Tier 7, Maass definitely is not a common pick, and I will explain why later in the video. So, without further ado, let's review the details of the ship we are about to sail in. With 19,950 points of health, Maass brings the largest health pool of any Petrie destroyers at this tier, with an armor thickness ranging from 8 to 16 mm. The main battery consists of 5 128mm guns in single mounts, with a reload time of 4.2 seconds and a firing range of 13 km, boasting some pretty solid German AP and good penetration on the HE shells. For its torpedoes, Maass carries 8 tubes into quadruple launchers. Range of the ordnance is 8.5 km at a speed of 65 knots. The anti-air defense system is pretty poor due to the main guns not being counted as dual purpose. In terms of speed, Maass can reach 38.5 knots without engine boost active. In terms of concealment, an horrendous 6.8 km by sea and 2.9 km by air are the ranges at which the ship will be spotted. For the upgrades I have installed, we have Main Armaments Modification 1, Damage Control System Modification 1, Aiming System Modification 1, and Propulsion Modification 1. For my commander, we have assigned Gunther Luchens with the following skills: Preventive Maintenance, Last Stand, Fill the Tubes, SE, Main Battery and Anti-Air Expert, Radio Location, and of course, Concealment Expert. As I said at the start, Maass is an odd pick for a competitive mode such as Ranked, especially considering the available competition, Gajamada, Haida or Z39, with the main drawback of the ship being its horrendous concealment of 6.8 km. With that said, the firepower, HP and utility you can bring can compensate for that weakness as long as you pick your engagements carefully. But that is well enough of these descriptions. Let's put some footage behind these words and take the Maass to battle. And here we are, on the map New Dawn for our first game. We decided to head for Objective C and burn a charge of our engine boost in order to get there as fast as we can. Matchmaking has us pitted against 4 battleships, a cruiser and 2 destroyers. Luckily for us though, there are neither radar ships nor carriers present, which is a huge deal when trying to make this ship work. About the ship, actually, as I mentioned, one of the glaring weaknesses of Maass is its concealment, some of the worst in tier, especially considering some destroyers that bring more firepower to the fight, looking at you Haida, have actually more than a kilometer better concealment if spec'd for it. But I also mentioned its strength, and these are as follow: great AP DPM, fast reloading and traveling torpedoes with average damage, decent enough hydro for cap contesting, 32mm of pen on the HE shells, making you a consistent damage dealer against any ships, and then the HP. With SE, we are just shy of 20,000, which is a lot to go through, allowing you to make mistakes without being instantly out of the fight. But I have to admit that concealment still really sucks, and it's a shame, because it really scares player away from an overall decent ship. Maass just asks you for that extra level of caution and situational awareness in order not to get caught, and that is exactly what we are trying to do as we enter the ASCAP. This spot works quite well for a destroyer with hydro, and I am going to try and reverse to catch the contesting ship. Both enemy destroyers are Japanese, so I know I can outgun them in a brawl, and the Fubuki is our first client of the day. I am aware of the enemy cruiser Fiji, who smoked up directly to our right, and I am able to stay in cover from her salvos while keeping an angle on the destroyers. My teammates are going to help me crush this Fubuki, and we are able to set a permanent fire right before she disappears in her smoke screen. I'm not sure what happened there. I almost caught a torpedo thinking I was stationary, and we barely accelerate in time. Couple of blind fire salvos misses, but the Fubuki eventually goes down from our fire, granting us the first blood of this game. Friendly Fubuki on the A side has also managed to capture the objective, and considering we will be flipping the ASCAP in our favor as well, this promises to be a great start. Our hydroacoustic is still running against Fiji's torpedoes, and we are going to throw our own into the mix. Since my capping job is done, I decide to burn my first smokescreen and make use of my guns against Colorado. Most of the enemy battleships are actually making their way to us, Gneisenau, Nelson, Colorado, with the enemy Scharnhorst going against our Nagato. We do have most of our team backing us up, and with the enemy destroyer gotten rid of on this flank, the only real threat for me here is the Fiji. But for now, we are happily farming the Colorado and setting the occasional fire, even if our chances are only 6.5%. Our torpedoes are unfortunately going to miss, but at least Colorado, which is a slow battleship to begin with, is forced to give the ASCAP a wide berth. In the meantime, something I completely forgot to mention is the information we got from the B-cap being taken by the enemy team. We may have an uncontested enemy destroyer right in the middle of the map, threatening our Nelson and even our own position. As soon as my smoke dissipates, which should not be long considering it's German, our next objective will be to try and investigate just that. Friendly Prince Heinrich is going to catch some torpedoes as he tries to push through sea to engage the now exposed Fiji. I am still firing at the Colorado in the hopes of setting additional fires since he used his damage control. Colorado is not the priority threat of this game, but as long as I am able to deal some damage without receiving any, I will always take advantage of it. Our battlecruiser, on the other hand, is not going to get so lucky. More torpedoes combined with a Gneisenau salvo sinks the Heinrich, equalizing the kill counter for the enemy team. Time for me to head towards B. My hydro is back in 20 seconds and my smoke in 40. We should be able to take some risks trying to put more point pressure on the enemy team. But the enemy Fiji is still lurking around, and she could very well compromise any attempts I make on the caps. I am trying to entice my teammates on focusing her down, but our Colorado and Schumpfen are in a rough situation under a lot of enemy fire. On the bright side, enemy Scharnhorst goes down from the combined fire of Nagato, Nelson and Fubuki, but as you can see on the minimap, the ASCAP is currently being contested, confirming that I should be able to take B in a relatively safe manner. Path is clear, smoke is reloaded, we are good to go. Torpedoes in the water towards the enemy Nelson as we enter the cap. Our friendly Schumpfen goes down, only leaving Colorado in the ASCAP, which is not good news. But we find ourselves in a position to engage the enemy Akatsuki, which is currently trying to get away from A after taking some damage. I could open fire right now, but Nelson has direct line of sight of me, so I delay my fire just a bit. Akatsuki is laying down a smokescreen though, and her engine has been knocked out. The Japanese destroyer is going to overshoot it. This is my cue to engage, especially as we can now cut line of sight with Nelson behind this small island. We do land a torpedo on the British battleship, secure the cap in time, all the while melting the Akatsuki down. Hydroacoustic up for torpedoes, and we are going to use our second smokescreen again the moment we see incoming salvos from Fiji. We can now use our position to keep firing on Nelson to hopefully set some fire, and basically every other targets we see fit. Friendly Colorado has been alone defending the ASCAP, and I doubt he'll survive much longer. We do retain cap control though, and the enemy team is forced to initiate an aggressive push where we are the weakest. Fiji rushes herself behind cover as we try to pour some damage into her with armor piercing, and enemy Gneisenau will mirror her moves. Torpedoes in the water, as we cannot really get a solution on Nelson, and we just keep on firing. Making use of your guns as often as you can in a destroyer can be very rewarding, and as we trigger Lucian's talent after landing 140 hits, we see our DPM ever so slightly boosted. We have all the cards in our hands right now. Both enemy destroyers have been destroyed, we are ahead on points by a good margin. On the other hand, the enemy battleships are still very healthy, and the same cannot be said for our Nagato, Colorado or Nelson. With our smoke already dissipating, we launch our second set of torpedoes and head out again. But we have to remember our terrible concealment in our future maneuvers, especially since we are dead in the middle of the cap, so we hold our shots. Fiji has tucked herself behind cover and laid a smokescreen. This is actually good, as it will allow us to close the distance on the enemy battleships without fear of being spotted. But the enemy cruiser is going to get greedy and back out of her smokescreen to engage Colorado. No hesitation here, I engage instantly. The sooner we get rid of her, the more freedom of movement I'll have. We get spotted for a moment and Colorado eventually goes down, but the final engagement rules have been set now. The remaining forces of the enemy team are all around C, meaning we can now try and set up a pincer move, or at least take position somewhat behind them. I am using island cover to try and take the occasional shot. Gneisenau was in cover for a while, and we could not contest him in time from taking the C cap. Our friendly battleships, though, are going to punish the German battleship heavily, both Nelson and Nagato landing severe hits and bringing its health down to almost nothing. Risky move to engage with the Fiji present, but with Gneisenau out of the picture, our job will get much easier too. We are going to pick up our third kill of the game, kind of secured, I know, and we send one set of torpedoes towards the Fiji smoke while creeping up to an ambush position around this island. Time to use our last smoke and once again make use of our guns and try to wither down the remaining battleships as much as we possibly can. The enemy Fiji could push in and hydro me out, but I count on my friendly battleships to catch and kill her before she can do that. We are also in decent cover with some escape route options, but all of this quickly becomes obsolete as one of our torpedo finish off the British cruiser, unfortunately not soon enough to save our Nagato. It is now a 3 against 2, and this game should be in the bag, at least one would think. But as you know, I am on 4 kills, and when I am on 4 kills, my brain starts working in a different manner. I see Colorado as food for my Kraken and ask my team to save it for me. Bit of a selfish thing to do, especially in ranked where this sort of situation can still be turned around. But I also see another option, and that is the enemy Nelson. With 15,000 HP left, I do believe I could get away with a rush on the British battleship, and with my engine boost active, well, my choice has been made. Keeping the guns on Colorado, I charge out of my smoke. Nelson has just fired its guns, which gives me around 30 seconds to close in. But the British battleship is no fool and immediately set up to have all 3 turrets bearing down on my position. As soon as I attempt to turn to get my torpedoes off, Nelson lets her salvo loose, and that's going to be 13,000 HP removed instantly. Fortunately, no torpedo tubes are destroyed and we are able to fire both sets after using our DCP. Guns still blazing on Colorado, we take out the Nelson in a devastating strike, although not before its secondaries set us on fire and take us out immediately after. Remaining Colorado is on such low HP that friendly Nelson is able to secure the kill shortly after, securing this game in a victory. 171,000 points of damage dealt, around 15,000 combined XP earned, and 500,000 credits gained. We've achieved a devastating strike, Kraken Unleashed, First Blood and High Caliber, out of 276 shells, 5 torpedoes, 3 floods and 10 fires, capturing 2 objectives, contesting them 15 times and sinking 5 ships in the process. 3100 base XP, almost doubling the score of our friendly Nelson, which happens to have destroyed the other 2 ships of the enemy team. As a destroyer, we hence did our job with capturing objectives, sinking both enemy DDs and putting a serious dent on enemy battleships, especially the enemy Colorado, on which we have dealt 80,000 damage from our guns and fires only. Some pretty tense moments here in this ranked battle, and not counting the endgame risk taken against Nelson, I hope that this was a good example of how Maass can be commanded. Well, people, this video is coming to an end. Thank you very much for watching it all the way through. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you did not, well, thumbs down. But stay tuned anyway. More ranked and more Maass are coming soon with a second epic game for a part 2 of this review. Until then, you have a good one and you take it easy.